Alrighty, tidy, folkarinos. Today is going to be kind of a little shortly guy, showing you guys something really dumb. It's very, very dumb. Okay? Dodge Journey. Complaint from the customer is a parking light does not work. Okay, easy peasy. I do some diagnostics in the middle of the road with a multimeter and discover a thing, at which point I decide I'm going to then film the repair. So, first thing we're doing is I'm showing you guys the socket is good. The light does not work, but the socket is good. So I start pulling things apart, checking wiring, checking plugs, checking for corrosion. The little boot is broken, meaning there could be some water intrusion. But what do I find inside the harness when taking apart the panels and such, other than butt connectors in a flexible joint? These butt connectors sit right where the wires bend the most in this harness, in the door jamb of the hatch. I don't know who. Well, I do. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, talking with the customer, the only time anybody has been into the hatch for any reason, for any kind of repair or maintenance, was to replace the rear wiper motor assembly. It's motor and clutch together in a single unit. That's it. And the place that did this was not the dealership. It was an aftermarket repair shop that did stuff for extended warranty work, which is what this was. I don't know how you do this. I have no idea how you do this. They somehow broke 3 wires into the wire harness, into the hatch, and then butt connectored them back together. I genuinely have no idea how or why this would have happened. But it did. And of course, the wire snapped right at the, folded in half butt connectors. From every time you open and close the hatch, twisting the dang butt connectors around. I cannot grasp what goes through people's heads when they do things like this. It makes 0 sense to me. Ignore me cutting a hole in my finger. We're not talking about that. It's fine. So, the only time anybody has been in this vehicle, and this part of it, was to do that job, for an extended warranty job. We all know warranty jobs don't pay well. The warranty company says, hey, we're going to pay you this much an hour, and the shop either takes it or leaves it. So, it's a job, you've got to get paid. You do the job even though it's a little bit reduced sometimes. If you know how to deal with the system, you can do it and make it right for the shop. You can do it correctly. I've dealt with this shop before, and I will say, I would never recommend anybody go to this shop. I went in there, I've gone in there a couple of times since I came down here to Arizona and asked them a couple of questions, just simple questions. Hey, I wonder if you could look this up for me. I need this little tidbit. And the answer was, come in and pay us $150 in an hour worth of diagnostic fee, and we will print you off this paper that costs us 6 cents. Yeah. Like, I get it, you're in the business to make money, but information should be free. I come in and I say, hey, I don't have access to this. I'll pay you $10 for it. I'll pay you $15 for it. I'm not paying you an hour's worth of diagnostic fee for you to print me off a piece of paper that literally takes you 20 seconds to look up. No. Anyway, I had to get in here, remove the butt connectors, remove corroded wire back I don't know, 40 or 50 millimeters or so. Replace the corroded wire, which if I had been smarter, I would have measured the wire beforehand because I went 1 gauge larger than I should have. It's not going to negatively affect anything. It just made it a little bit more bulky than it needed to be, the repair. Another reason I kind of wanted to do the dual solder repair instead of trying to drag the wires up shorter was to reduce stress on the wire harness once the job was done. And also it gave me more flexibility room so that this problem should not occur again. With a solder is very similar to a butt connector in its rigidity, so if you flex the joint too much, it can fail. You can see, if you're watching the video and not just listening to me talk in the background, at first I was trying to use just the iron with, it's not a power tip necessarily, it's not also a power iron. It's a 50-watt soldering iron, little kind of knockoff guy anyway. Who knows how accurate the temperature readout is. But the iron by itself did not work. And you saw I cut the first one off. And the second one, what I ended up having to do was use hot air and the iron simultaneously. Because we were outside, the wind was blowing, and while it's not cold, it's still thermal energy loss, so we ended up having to use hot air and the iron simultaneously for some of these joints. Less than ideal, not the greatest solution necessarily, but the solder did wick into the connection the way it's supposed to. The solder joints are, again, less than ideal because of some of the corrosion that was still present a good 10-15 millimeters down inside the insulation because somebody used butt connectors to make a repair that shouldn't have had to have been made in the first place. There's no cause for there to have been this repair done to this vehicle. Zero cause, zero reason, zero necessity. What I imagined happened is somebody was in there doing the job for the wiper motor. They left a tool on the lip. They closed the hatch. When they closed the hatch on the tool, it twisted, it turned, it was sharp, it whatever, and it damaged not only the wire harness, but also the dust boot that protects the wire harness from outside elements. The dust boot is broken. The only way to obtain a new dust boot is either the junkyard, which I've not seen a whole lot of Dodge Journeys in the junkyard locally, or to get an entirely new harness from the dealer, which is $1,200 we're not going to do. And it's dumb too, because we called the dealership just to see if, hey, on the off chance, maybe the dust boot would be available. Which I doubted, but ain't no harm in asking, I figure. So we call the dealership, okay, and we say, it's a, here's the VIN. Okay, what do you need? We need the dust boot for the wire harness on the hatch. The what? Dust boot, guy. The thing that goes between the hatch and the body that protects the wire harness from the elements. Can you send me a picture of it? You work at an automotive dealership and you don't know what a freaking dust boot is. Come on, guy. Like, that's part of the reason I hate this town so much. I dislike this town so very much. Because everybody you talk to that's supposed to be a professional doing a job professionally, they have zero clue what they are doing in this town. Not a single person. I can give you the names of the handful of people at various businesses in Sierra Vista, Arizona, that I would trust to do anything. Anything at all. I don't care what it is. Food, TV repair, cars, bikes, any of it. I can give you the names if you ask me. I'm not going to actually give you their names because they probably don't want me talking about them on the YouTubes. But literally, if you're in Sierra Vista and you're like, hey, where can I go to get this done? I probably know the guy that does it. If he can't do it, you're going to Tucson. Which is dumb, because Sierra Vista is a town of 45,000 people. It's large enough, there should be enough here, and there should be enough people that you should be able to get done really whatever you need to get done outside of like custom fabrication work. Which, there's some of that here too, but the ones that exist here I wouldn't really trust. I'm rambling. Partially because this is literally just a bitching video is all this is. I am genuinely infuriated and confused to no end why this repair was even necessary in the first place. There was no cause for this damage to have occurred to this wire harness. I have done some things before. I have done some things that, oh no, I damaged this part, or I caused damage to this other part while doing this one thing. Unintentionally, it was old, it broke, or you're trying to bust a bolt loose and your hand, it comes loose and you end up punching something that's plastic or rubber and it breaks, right? It happens. It does. I get it. There is zero cause for there to have been any kind of damage to the wire harness between the body and the rear hatch of the vehicle. When you close a hood, you check for tools. When you close a hatch, you check for tools. If you're in the door, you check for tools. That is the last thing you do before moving the hood, the hatch, the door, anything. Before buttoning up, you always go, you walk away, and you come back, and you double check for tools. Because that's the only thing I can imagine that would have happened here. I don't know. I cannot imagine any other situation that would have warranted, or that would have caused, I guess, damage to the wire harness in this place, and then subsequently necessitated the repair. If you guys want a soldering video, let me know. I know I keep doing soldering stuff in videos without really showing you very clearly what I'm doing, so let me know in the comments. I'll provide you a little soldering video that's not a 1970s training video, because those kind of suck. But I did put 3 sets of heat shrink on here so that we only have the 2 possible moisture intrusion sides. Technically, not really, but technically it's better. I covered up the 2 middle joints with another piece of heat shrink so that it would be a little bit more protected than not having the heat shrink. I also removed all the old tape from the harness and retaped it all back up, mostly to try to negate any moisture intrusion because of the damaged boot that we can't get our hands on. Also, the only way to replace the boot would be to de-pin the connectors and pull the boot all the way down and put the new boot all the way up, and then having to keep track of where the pins went. You write it down, it's not that big a deal, but it's a very, very kind of big hassle just to replace that dust boot, if that's all you're doing. So we left it. It's Arizona. It's not a huge deal. It's fine. We don't get a whole lot of moisture down here, so they're not going to corrode anytime soon. The more likely scenario is mechanical stress on the joint is going to cause the copper wire just beyond the solder connection to wear out and break. I foresee that being no less than 5 years from now. By then, I doubt they will own the vehicle. You'll also note that it was easier for me to pull the harness half out of the hatch to deal with it, as opposed to trying to deal with it half in the hatch and like an inch of 25 5.4 millimeters of wire to handle. Not a big deal. Plastics come off easy. The wire harness comes out of the door pretty easy. The job itself was a simple enough one. It was a total of 2 or 3 hours maybe. It is a family member, so since it's family, I charged them $20 an hour, friends and family discount. Just, it was time that I wasn't making money doing something else, so I charged them, but because, you know, family, not a whole lot, just to say, hey, I got this repair done, and here's an invoice for it, and I have proof that it was done. I also put tape on the split loom, which is Chrysler's solution to, oh, there's wires. Oh, there's also sharp body metal stamped over here. Why don't we, I don't know, we can just tape it up and it won't rub through, right? Don't get me started on Chrysler engineering. It's fine. It is what it is. We got the job done. We put it back together. We got all the plastics put back on. Coming up here in just a second, you will see us checking the lights to verify everything was functional. There we are. Got park, got brake, got reverse, got left turn, got right turn, and verify the wiper works. If my bitching was fun to you, don't forget to like it, subscribe it, crank it, and rip it, and we'll see you in the next one.